This thing on? I'm just kidding.
Okay.
What do we got? Here we go again.
New day, new album.
Okay.
Today, we are doing for episode 3 to broaden the genre umbrella. We did electronic, we did rock, now we're doing rap. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, the big release of 2022. We had.
Should I blow this on my floor?
Alright, so we've been waiting for a Kendrick release for a long time. 2017 with his last album. Damn.
Oh,
so
okay, yeah.
Both of us were very, very excited when the rumors started surfacing that the album would be coming out. I remember we were both there like midnight, ready to listen. You listened to it first, I listened to it a little bit later. And now it's been, how many months? Almost a year? And now it's time to
how many days has it been? I'm just kidding.
Alright, so
here we go. Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. So the first half of the album is Mr. Morale, and the second half is Big Steppers, right?
Yeah, I didn't hear a strong difference between the two albums, right? Two halves. But yeah, there's a
I feel like the
album.
words Morale. No, they were all kind of mentioned throughout the album, Mr. Morale. So I don't know.
And another thing too, with this album, with the release, like the rumors that I was hearing, I remember he had on like the OK Llama website or whatever. He's talking about how it's been really introspective, like time for him, and he's just been kind of like chilling in his. He's been like, he said he bought like a bunch of like old Woody wagons and was like listening to like old like beach rock, like beach, whatever the Beach Boys are, surf rock,
yeah. Beach rock.
So I was expecting more of like a really vintage sound. I was thinking he was going to do kind of like a Motown rap album with a very like strong vintage sound, almost like I was kind of hoping for like a Kendrick Lamar's version of Awaken My Love by Childish Gambino. That's what I was expecting with this album, but that did not turn out to be the case in the least.
And this Oklahoma thing
is
his pseudonym for his. I guess he's kind of a producer now as of this album. I mean, it's his last album with Top Dog Entertainment, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna start my own kind of thing, my own avenue of production." And so Oklahoma is a pseudonym for him, I guess. And I do remember reading that a lot of his inspiration for this album came from the fact that, okay, between the time of Damn and this album, Mr. Morale, he had 2 kids with his fiance Whitney. Go to the top of the page real quick. No, Whitney Alford or something. Whitney. Where is it? Eckhart Whitney Alford. Oh, so I was right. Yeah, so Whitney Alford, and she narrated a lot of the album. The song "We Cry Together," and this is what the world sounds like. That's
I was
her.
gonna say, okay, like she was not the singer.
Yeah, she narrated a lot of the album. He talks about...
Look at these reviews, dude. On the Wikipedia, 5 stars all over this sucker.
I don't know if I'm on board with 5 stars. I mean, we'll see as we go, but let me look at my notes real quick. I had something interesting regarding... Was it... I can't even remember. I know a bunch of producers that he's already worked with. He did this album on, and a bunch of producers he's already worked with did this album with them. Was there anybody new? Go to the top. I can't remember. No, but I think there was. Oh yeah. Okay, so he's working with Baby Keem. That's his cousin.
Kodak Black was new.
Kodak Black, which had a lot of criticism for.
Yeah, I'll get into that. Oh, freaking Portishead? That was interesting.
I don't know who Portishead is.
Well, it's a band. Beth Gibbons.
Oh, yeah?
Portishead. Yeah, Portishead is a huge, like, 90s, a huge band of the 90s.
Interesting.
It was kind of like how in Damn he had U2 in it. It was kind of that same style of bringing, like, a 90s, or not 90s, but like a Gen Xers music into his album.
This is what I was going to say. the guy who does Grand Theft Auto 5 soundtrack on the Lab, he's one of the producers.
Yeah, I've heard of The Alchemist.
He helped write The Alchemist. He helped write We Cry Together, actually.
Oh, wow.
Pharrell Williams helped produce.
His eyes and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's his 5th album, May 13th, 2022. I was there at midnight when it dropped. Regarded as confessional work. A lot of it comes as like, okay, he was working with therapists. I don't know if he was working with Eckhart Tolle, but he narrated on the album too.
Is he a therapist?
Yeah. I mean, he's a self-help kind of guy. I haven't looked exactly at his work, but he's some German guy, and you can hear him on the album.
Yeah,
a few different places. So, he was narrating on the album, and he I know he was going through therapy up to this album. I don't know if he still is or not, but I don't know if his therapist was this Eckhart guy or not. I don't know if that's released, but he was doing a lot of therapy because of he's got children now, so it's a big changing point in his life. And I almost feel like this album is a mirror. It's like on one side you have To Pimp a Butterfly, and on the other side you have like an evolved version of that where it's almost a response to Pimp a Butterfly. But I don't like how I don't know, I feel like he's trying to be somebody. I feel like he's trying to be like take on like a actor's role for this album. He's like, okay, I got a character that I need to fit the shoes of for this album. And whereas To Pimp a Butterfly was more like I think almost all of the songs were just straight up experiences and stories that he's had. And he's not joking. I saw an interview. He says he's not joking when he says gang banging made me kill blacker than me. Like, he's not joking. Like I think there's a really good chance he actually did kill somebody. I think these are experiences that he's really talking about, and I feel like this album isn't so much. To Pimp a Butterfly, but this album I feel like he's okay. Let me take the perspective of a different character, which is this whole Mr. Morale.
So much of it is I think Mr. Morale is him. He is Mr. Morale.
Right.
Because you can throughout his whole discography, you can see that he has this idea that he's supposed to be the guy who comes and saves.
Right, and that's what I feel like is the character thing. I don't think it's.
I feel like this is, for me, I almost completely disagree, because I feel like in this album, you can like see he is growing as a person,
for sure,
and you can see that. I guess, I mean, not to go into my thoughts on individual tracks, but I believe it's Crown. He's finally shedding that I have to be this guy who helps everyone that he struggled with so much on Damn and To Pimp a Butterfly. On Mortal Man, that's like he's trying to be the Nelson Mandela. He's worried that his legacy is going to be ruined by things he does, but he wants to be this like figure and he puts so much pressure on his shoulders. That's why he has the Jesus crown in the album cover.
Right. And I think that. And I just take it one step further. I think that that's not necessarily him, but that's who he's trying to be for this album. But he's also trying to say, this isn't me. Like, I'm gonna help myself, help yourself to whatever. Like I'm not that person, even though like I almost feel like I need to be, and there's a pressure to be that person. And
I think he's trying to be the savior.
Right. So.
I think if anything, that character is who he is hoping, who he wants to be.
Yeah, I think there's a dichotomy there. I think that's. You think that's who he wants to be? I think that's who he kind of is being shoved into being, but he doesn't. He's like, it's not my responsibility.
Well, on the last track, he is finally talking about that, how he's going to do things for himself. Like, I choose me. I'm sorry. Like, he's telling people, okay, I'm going to work on myself. Not you guys kind of figure it out yourself.
Right, but it's not just a whole ditch of you guys figure it out. It's like, I'm going to work on myself. You guys do the same.
Yeah, that's true.
More of that kind
of you're right. Because he says some line about, like, if you guys are going to wait for me to help you, you guys are wasting time where you could be helping yourself.
Right.
Yeah, some line that's something along those lines.
And so I feel like he's trying to be or this album is a character. Not he's trying to be a character. He like is a character where he has this responsibility that he doesn't necessarily think is right for him, and he's like, okay, you guys you can't let me do all the work for you. Like, I have to work on myself, so you guys have to do the rest. Or you guys also work on yourselves, or whatever. You know, I'm maybe not as articulate, so that's just kind of what it feels like to me. And but it is a confessional work. It's like, okay, like this is what I literally have to work on, so I don't have time for I mean, all these different themes of his generational trauma. I mean, I got infidelity, the pressures of being famous, toxic masculinity, epiphanies during his therapy, spiritual solace, gender identity, you know, cancel culture, things like that. He's kind of reflecting on all that, and he's like, I got to deal with all this shit. I can't be this Mr. Morale. It is what it feels like to me.
Oh,
it's like a confession of like, I can't be this.
Yeah, but I do think he wanted to originally. I think he's finally coming to the conclusion that it can't, because like in To Pimp a Butterfly, like all he's talking about is wanting, like a lot of that album is him trying to like.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Is like To Pimp a Butterfly is the one reflection, and on the other reflection is this like.
But I don't think that he was forced to feel like he needed to help the hood. I feel like that was his own. I think
through his own natural talent, people put him on this pedestal on their own, and they were like, it's your responsibility to like be the voice or the conscious hip hop of our generation. And I think he's almost like, I can't.
No, I feel like that came from himself based on like.
Fair enough. I mean, there's a lot of room to work with Kendrick, so.
I think that almost like lessens his. Like the amount of respect you'd have for him.
It does. That's why I don't like this album as much. It makes me feel like he's like playing a role or acting.
No, but I'm saying like if you believe that he's only trying to help people because he's forced to, then that almost makes him not seem like as good.
Well, he was in To Pimp a Butterfly. I think he was more himself than he's ever been in any of his other albums. Well, and I think that's what put him on that pedestal, is the fans' reaction and like the world's
right. But even in that album, by that album's time, he's already talking about how he feels like he needs to be essentially like a Nelson Mandela-esque character.
Right.
So I feel like he came to that on his own.
Yeah, but it wasn't, Obama.
He put the pressure on his shoulders.
Wasn't it Obama that was like met with him after he dropped that album and was like, okay, we really do need to discuss.
I did not know that, but
yeah, I think I heard some story about Obama actually met with him after this album. And...
See, he's hoping in Immortal Man, he's talking about how he hopes the ghost of Mandela helps his flow, his message stay alive. So he's very much wanting to be like this black leader in this album at least, and he's name checking all sorts of different like famous black people and black leaders all throughout this whole album and in this song. So it seems like really he does want to be that for himself. But that's a whole aside. This is not even the same album. So I guess we should dig into Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing was that he had 2 children and changed his perspective on a lot of stuff. It charted all over the U.S.
Of course, yeah. Did it end up winning the Grammy?
No, it didn't.
Are you freaking
As album
serious?
of the year, you mean?
Well, it should have. Let's see if it had to have won something, right? It is the
best rap album
of the year. No, that went to like Beyonce or something.
Yeah.
Rap album of the year. Let's see.
Thundercat helped with some songwriting too, from what I read.
Latest awarded, yes. Kendrick Lamar won the best rap album of the year. Okay.
Right, I believe that.
Okay. I would have given him album of the year too, but you can't win them all.
I think there's one better album that came out that year, but we'll talk about that in another episode.
Know what that album is.
Well, Parker at work did, huh?
Yeah, Parker's not at the Grammys.
Yeah, you're right. I think that album.
Harry Styles won?
He did?
Oh my god.
Okay, well. I mean, it happens. It happens.
Nobody takes the Grammy seriously anymore.
I do like. There's one thing Kendrick said during. I don't know if it was an interview or recording process. I just remember seeing this on Wikipedia. He says making music is therapeutic for himself and reflecting on his own life experiences, which it's what I think exactly what making music is for. Like that is the purpose of making music, is therapy for oneself, reflecting on your own identity through whatever you're making. So when he said that, I mean, that's something that harmonized with me personally, and it made a lot of sense to me. But the harmonizing on this album, speaking of, is it's amazing.
What
the
harmonizing?
First,
where they have those little lines of like,
intro song.
Yeah, that's going out all throughout the album.
album.
That almost reminds me of the poems.
Those are powerful.
It
does.
The same idea.
That's what I'm
as
saying.
poems
Is it's
in
almost
To
a
Pimp a
reflection
Butterfly.
of To Pimp a Butterfly, but a more mature like response to it. It's probably my second favorite album by him.
It is also my second favorite.
So I mean, yeah.
So let's go track for track.
You take it up.
All right.
Well, I don't. There's a lot of tracks. I don't know if I remember all of them, but
I wrote a little piece for each, so
okay.
It shouldn't be. They're mostly short. So, United in Grief. That is one of the better tracks in my opinion.
I do think so. I think the vocalizing,
the violin's cool. The intro's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Really great flow. I'd say that's probably one of his best in regards to like flow and like bars. Just like spitting them at a pretty rapid tempo. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a lot of lyrics to each song. He talks pretty fast, which is one thing that I definitely respect.
And I like
hip hop artists.
I like how he's very unique as a rapper in regards of kind of calling out what rappers do, not in like a trash talking way, but like just like putting some perspective. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Making them confront themselves. And he's talking about how many rappers try to fill their grief with materialism, which is
chains
what
and
he
tattoos.
does. Well, yeah, that's in a different song, but he talks about how people are buying all these things to try to because they.
Oh yeah, now I remember that song.
They grieve different, right?
I grieve different, yeah.
Yeah, and I love how sometimes after he says that, how like you'll have like a swelling of violins and orchestra come in. It's really cool.
I think that's
the
a great
drums
intro
as well.
track.
It's a really good track. It's probably top 3, 4, top 5 for sure.
I can't even remember what I ranked it.
Then track 2 is what? And then N95. I'm gonna pull up my score, so don't look if you don't want to see it.
I'll look for now and we'll figure it out.
Okay, N95 is track 2.
Mm-hmm.
That one is good. I like it.
Well, I think it's kind of picking up the same kind of tone from United in Grief, because it's making them confront themselves. Take off the Wi-Fi, he goes through this whole verse.
Yeah, he talks about...
And then he says, and then at the end, then what are you? And then he says, you ugly as fuck.
Yeah, it's pretty much is what exactly it is like all these people they have all these things to make them look cool or feel cool. Right. But once you strip that back, you don't really have anything going for you. You're just kind of an uninteresting person.
It's more, I think it carries the same confrontational tone.
My only issue with it is a little more just kind of contemporary, kind of party oriented. It's almost like the humble. It was like the humble of the album.
I would agree. It is the humble of this album.
But I'd say lyrically, it's a lot better than humble.
Production was supposed to be pretty minimalist for this album as well. And as far as okay, let's not overthink anything. Let's just be.
Yeah, it's a fun, loud.
A lot of talent.
Up in your
a lot
car
of talent on this album.
He always brings a big army with him.
Yeah.
But
well
I would say it's better than it's his best of like those types of songs that I've heard in a long time. Where it's just like something you could crank up and have a lot of fun too, because it still has a cool message. It's still interesting in that regards. But sonically, it is kind of more your contemporary like rap banger, which is fine. It's fine.
For sure.
Yeah. So. On track 3...
I love Worldwide Steppers.
This is not one of my favorites.
This is easily... I think I had 2+3s in this album. It wasn't one of them, but it was a +2.
Okay, I could see it being +2. First thing, and you'll see this once we get into the actual Kodak song, but I can't stand that dude's voice, dude. He sounds so annoying. Who? Kodak Black.
Oh, Kodak. Okay.
Yeah, he starts off the song. He just says a couple lines.
Yeah. I can't stand it either, honestly.
It
sounds like mumble rap.
He's a mumble rapper.
Yeah,
100%. That's his. He's like a iconic mumble rapper.
Cringe. Why do they do that? Why?
Well, I'll get into once we talk about the
maybe
song.
It's like a whole thing of its own, but
So for me, okay,
lyrics aren't just, I don't know.
With this song,
it's dumb. It's fucking dumb.
It is. It is, but whatever. I'll get it. I'm trying to bite my tongue until we get to the song that he's actually in, like the song that he's in for the entirety of the song. But I'm not huge on this song sonically. It is unique, but it's just
like
not
the kind of like it's a lurking vibe. I feel like it's like when somebody's lurking around the zone or something.
It's just like,
why would you ever lurk though? I don't know why anybody would ever lurk, but if you ever do lurk, this is the song. This is the song for lurking.
Okay, and the lyrics are a little odd too. About he's like having sex with white girls to like revenge his ancestors. He's like ravaging them in bed because it's like him.
Well, like I said, it's a confessional album. He's also trying to confess to Whitney Alford the whole album that talking about his infidelity, and there's another song that goes more into it. How he's not like how he like lied to her until he's telling her that he's not addicted to it.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that. We'll get into Mother I Saw.
But it makes sense as far as I can tell.
One part I do like about this song, though, I think it only happens literally once, but there's one part where he says a line and then it gets into this like cool like guitar where it gets all funky. Like, okay,
but it's only for like 2 or 3 lines.
Yeah, and then it's over.
That's why I like it, dude. It's like lurking, and then it like happens, and then it's like whoa, and then it goes back to lurking.
Lurking, huh?
It just sounds like a lurking type of beat.
Okay. I'm not a lurker, so
I don't know who is a lurker, but if you are a lurker,
song with that guitar part, or like maybe the whole second
maybe
half,
the chorus or whatever,
that would have went hard. I would have liked that a lot better. But instead, it seemed kind of stripped back. And
I like that song.
A little bit odd. Okay, Die Hard is cool. It's one of the more poppy songs, but it's like it's like a fun vibe track. I like the female vocalist on it. I don't remember who it is. There's like 20 features on this album, so I don't know.
I think there's only like 1 or 2 female features, though.
I know one is Summer Walker, and the other's like Amanda something. And then there's the girl who in the...
She's an actress. She's not actually a singer. She's an actress. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Okay, so yeah, there's not too much to say about this song. He's kind of just talking about insecurity.
Anybody would like it. It's...
Yeah, it's a cool song.
It's a fine song.
Let me look up the lyrics just real quick, just so I can refresh. Because I noted that he's talking about his insecurity, but what is he saying?
There's a lot of songs on this album. There's only a few that stick out that really hit home.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I remember. So he's pretty much just like questioning, being anxious about whether people care about him and things like that. It's pretty...
Right. Oh, yeah, I think I remember them being like... It's a song that talks about like culture nowadays. People will say something to put them on a platform. Like, I'm a diehard by this ideology, but then once they're on the... Like, they don't stick to their ideology. They just do whatever they can to get followers or whatever, you know? I think he talks about something like that. I think, isn't that the song that...
I'm trying to...
At least that's how it hit me, was people are... I don't know, people aren't as involved as they claim to be in their ideologies. Kind of just a facade that they're playing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's pretty good. From what I know, it's just talking about. I think he's trying to be a diehard. Like, where is it saying it? I can't even find the chorus in this at all. I'm a diehard. It gets ugly. Okay, there it is. Too passionate. It gets ugly. Yeah, I think he's talking about his like romantic relationship, because he's like a passionate diehard lover, but he's like asking people like, do you love me? Do you trust me? Like, it's like this insecure, like, I am that. There's a lot of, do you feel that back?
Confrontational insecurities. Yeah,
for sure. He's definitely very open about his insecurity, and that's the thing I love about this album, is he is very open and honest about himself. And like, you think like most people talk about therapy and they're like, oh, you're kind of a dork talking about therapy, but Kendrick Lamar is this like highly respected rapper, and he's talking about therapy. I'm hoping that like more people like this opening up about therapy might more popularized the idea, because a lot of times people kind of think of therapy as being kind of dorky or like not worth your time. But
right, and I agree with you.
We have people like Kendrick talking about therapy in a positive light or in a cool light. Maybe that will get more people on board, and I would love to see something like that.
And I agree with you, but that's my issue with this album. Is it like To Pimp a Butterfly was political, but you could look at it from a universal perspective. This album is almost too political. And we just did Radiohead. Radiohead said that they're in Rainbows. They took away all politics for that album and made it personal.
Very non-political, yeah.
This album, I feel like, took all the personality away and made it political. And To Pimp a Butterfly, at least for me, was something that applied more generally, personally.
I'm not going to get into that for your own sanity's sake, but that is an extremely political album.
That's fair. That's a fair point. But this album, I almost feel like, is this album more political?
No.
I think it is. Or maybe it's not more political, but it's less personal, for sure.
Okay, it's not more political, but I feel like To Pimp a Butterfly can be applied in a non-political setting to your own personal life. Whereas the political songs on Mr. Morale are just purely like political. Like,
yeah,
you can't talk about cancel culture, and that's only talking about cancel culture.
That's where I lose my respect for the album.
Politics is inherently bad. To Pimp a Butterfly is so political, but we're not going to get into that.
I get that, but there's nothing on this album that, like, as a I don't know, it makes me just lose respect for it because it's gonna die one day. It's gonna die.
This album is definitely more contemporary than To Pimp a Butterfly, 100%.
Oh yeah. I mean,
because you listen to that and you hear
older or newer.
No. What I mean is like for its time, even like you hear this album, and you're like, okay, this is a modern rap album. But To Pimp a Butterfly doesn't sound like a 2014 rap album. It just sounds like To Pimp a Butterfly. Nothing else sounds like
2015, but
okay, whatever.
That's what
like,
makes
that album sounds like that album.
I got a lot more respect for To Pimp a Butterfly than this album. That's all I'll say.
It's like Damn too. Damn sounds 100% like a 2018 rap album.
Oh yeah, I would agree.
Totally fits in line with the era. Doesn't.
2017.
You're up on everything. Okay, whatever. But this album almost kind of sonically reminded me of like more of like a Damn in its contemporary nature, but with a squirt of orchestra in there. There's a lot of orchestra in this, and like violins. And
there's not much that make me think about Damn when it comes to this album. There's a lot that makes me think about To Pimp a Butterfly.
Yeah, but I just mean sonically in the sense that it is pretty modern sounding. It's
fair. Yeah. I agree.
It's almost like a modern rap album mixed with some orchestra.
I agree.
Because it's got like trap beat. It's even got auto-tune. I do not like how Kendrick's voice sounds with auto-tune. He's not the most beautiful singer.
I don't like how Kendrick's voice sounds in these last two albums that he's done, to be honest.
His voice has never been like beautiful, but auto-tune certainly doesn't help.
I think that the fact that it's not beautiful makes it more beautiful. Like, it sounds almost like, you ever hear like a homeless person that's like been smoking like cigarettes for their whole life, like try to talk to you, but once they start spitting some real shit in that voice, like it almost hits home more.
Okay, I see.
Than like somebody with a beautiful voice talking like
all angelically. That's almost like in Rainbows
or whatever.
Yeah.
In Rainbows. Well, that's for the last album.
All right, Father Time, amazing song. That is the second best song on the album and my personal favorite to listen to.
Nope.
You don't like Father Time?
I like Father Time. It's not the second best on the album.
Father Time, I love the lyrics. I love
it's a good song. It's a
the
plus
discussion of like
toxic masculinity.
I hate to say that, but yes. Like a lot of men, especially older men, really do need to like self-reflect and realize how horrible like the way they talk to their children, how negatively that can affect them. Like the whole idea Kendrick espouses about like he gets hurt and he has to like jump up and act like he's fine because his like dad will get pissed if he shows emotion. Like that is so bad for the development of a child, and it makes the kids like cold and have to like hide their emotions. That's why the male suicide rate is pretty high. Not pretty high, but higher than you'd think, is because they don't feel like they can show those emotions. They have to just deal with it. And I know someone personally, I'm not going to name drop, who exhibits...
Just tell me. He actually tells me. Okay.
So he exhibits a lot of these traits in his own life and with his children as well. His children
are involved. God,
yes, that's just like it's just like with Father Time with this song. It's like if you cry, you get up and you deal with it. Like stuff like that. It is so detrimental to the development of your kid. And I love that we have a rapper who people respect and take seriously saying these things. Because when like a cringe snowflake blue haired dork says it, no one takes him seriously. But when you have Kendrick Lamar saying it, people are going to be like, okay, wow, this is like actually something kind of serious. And it leads to daddy issues in men. It leads to like this like under like deep rooted anger because they can't express it. It's just so bad, and I love that he's able to say that.
Nah, he puts it into words better than anybody could in this one song. This song is amazing.
I will say, Sampha.
This song is amazing.
Sampha's chorus, as much as we love to make fun of British people here, his voice actually sounds really good. It's really,
there's nothing wrong
really
about this song.
good.
This is a good song. This is
I
would almost agree with you. I think it's the third best song on the album.
Okay, that's Looking for I Love You. It's like you gotta tell your kids you love them. If you're a dude or not, it is important for your children to hear that. It's like all of this, men should never show feelings, being sensitive never helped. That is incorrect. You know, that line about him going right back to work after his mom died.
That one was hard.
Dude, no.
No, it definitely sparks some fire in people listening to this song.
Especially when you know people who
Especially
are
when
exactly
it's a good
like
ass
that.
song.
And you say, oh, yeah, this song has a lot of great lines.
When Kanye got back with Drake, I was slightly
That line
confused.
was awesome. He's like self-reflecting, and then you have that really cool poetic one, when your heart is made of stone.
Oh my god, that is the best line on the album,
dude,
bro.
I know.
What's the difference when your heart is made of stone and your mind is made of gold and your tongue is made of sword, but it may weaken your soul?
That is awesome.
That is probably the most personal thing Kendrick's like ever said. Like,
because it's really cool. The imagery, the contrasting nature is so cool. This song is awesome. It's
like I don't know. Speaking truth can lead to like self-destruction or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's a great song. This is definitely one of the best songs on the album.
Absolutely.
Track 5 early on too. I like that.
Really good. Next song is
What's the difference when your heart is made?
Rich Interlude.
Oh,
that's Kodak's song.
Yeah, that's. I think that's the only song I ranked as a -1. I was like, what the fuck is this guy saying? Like,
yeah.
I hate
the only thing that I do
rap,
like
dude.
though. Is like
it's kind of interesting, but
the juxtaposition. This is probably the only song that has this between like these really like dumbed down like mumble rap vocals and then this like crazy piano build up. That is cool. You never hear those types of sounds together.
Album, yeah.
I do like that. I think it's interesting. That's the only reason it's not a -1 for me. But God, his vocals are so annoying.
It bothers me.
Me too. So why is he on this album? So
if you like mumble rap, then you probably should like, I don't know, reflect on your whole life.
Well, the thing is, mumble rap isn't meant to be.
You couldn't get that low in life.
Well, that's mumble rap isn't meant to be.
I know.
Dissected.
And it's interesting. Like I've heard some interesting mumble rappers.
I'm sure you've heard mumble rap in a party setting, and you're like, okay, this fits, right? Or
no.
is it like,
It bothers me all the time. Well, not all times. There's, like I said, I keep saying this. There's sometimes I heard interest, but like the generic mumble rapper just bothers me. I'm like,
it is pretty bad.
The whole concept of music is like tossed out the window when you start mumble rapping.
You sound like a boomer, but I like it.
Oh.
So okay, here's why I think, and from the research I've done, this is the most likely reason I think Kendrick put Kodak on the album. So. Remember back to Mortal Man, he's talking about how you shouldn't get rid of someone just because of mistakes they've made. So he's like, okay, I gotta find someone who fits this bill. So
I didn't think about it like that.
Someone who is controversial. Kodak Black. He has like sexual assault charges. Controversial character. Yeah. He's made those mistakes.
If he makes them again, I'm just gonna.
So I think Kendrick kind of sees himself in Kodak. Like Kodak's a more extreme personified version of him because Kodak is a rapper. he's black,
He is?
from same background,
Yeah.
and he made a huge mistake that kind of made everyone toss him aside, and Kendrick kind of feels that. I don't know if he's made the huge mistake part, but he kind of feels that same like relationship, like that could happen to me. Like I feel that what happened to him could happen to me as well. Maybe
And
with
it's
a
not
different
as simple.
context.
It's more complicated than like, oh, give people second chances.
No, it is.
That's a simple way to put things.
Absolutely.
It's more complicated than that. I don't
Because
know if I can articulate
from like a
it,
human
but it's a
being
lot
perspective,
more.
he just believes that people have the opportunity for growth, and that's just
Right.
accurate because he's
It's
seen
just-
growth in
it's
his own
faith.
life.
It's just faith.
Like he's literally killed a dude, like from what we've been able
Maybe
to
more
see.
than one, you know.
Exactly. So he knows that people can grow. I don't know if he thinks that, okay, this Kodak dude is actually a great guy now. In fact, I doubt that he's like a huge Kodak fan, but he sees that maybe like Kodak represents more of like Kendrick's past self.
All right, you think he's about to feature Kanye on his next album?
That would be crazy, dude.
See, that's when you have to like.
If Kanye,
it's more complicated.
If Kanye,
no, he's a Nazi.
If Kanye had his Nazi meltdown when Mr. Morale was being produced, I could have seen that happening.
Right. I guess we'll see as Kanye evolves
and
as a character.
The other thing,
if he grows or not, you know what I mean?
I don't know what. I have no predictions for what Kanye's
like
future
he's
holds.
like growing into some outer space plant or some shit.
Sir, that dude's insane. Okay, but another reason, the secondary reason, is because it kind of is a jab at the types of people who would get offended by Kodak being on the album.
Right.
Because a lot of it is like white. A lot of it's like white liberals who are like, you can't have that guy because he's been canceled. Who like they don't respect Kodak as a black man because of his past, whereas they like people like Kendrick and the black people who they like. It's almost like it's like a jab at like, oh, Kendrick's one of the good ones, so we like him and support him.
Yeah,
like, Kodak now,
true,
so we're gonna push him aside. Kendrick's like, no, we're all in this. You either support black people or you don't support black people. You can't just pick and choose. The good ones like me, you support black people.
Right, there's a little bit of...
Because you got to think, like, if like, your average suburban white liberal went into, like, the hood, they wouldn't actually respect the people there. They'd be like, oh, these guys are saying crazy sexist stuff and saying crazy, you know, this, that, and the other.
Right, so it's the same thing as, like, don't use your voice to make a platform for yourself. Stand behind your ideologies. Stand behind what you believe in.
Yeah. So
maybe throw a little bit of faith in there to top it off.
So, yeah, I think it was a nuanced choice. I don't think it sounded good. But there is a lot to unpack in that Kodak inclusion. So
fair enough. Yeah, I didn't think about it like that.
Yeah, I think it was interesting. All right, Rich Spirit. Kind of more of one of those more contemporary trap bangers. I don't like the auto-tune in this album. I don't like the flow where he's saying, brother, you know, the sound of that.
Brother. Is that auto-tune or is that just him making his voice weird?
I don't know, but I don't like
I think it's just him making his voice weird.
You might be
right.
I
like about it.
But I don't like the
brother.
I like when he starts talking weird.
He does do that a lot. But there's certainly features of auto-tune all over this album. And, I mean, lyrically, it's not anything we haven't heard in a rap album before. It's just talking about, like, you gotta be rich on the inside, too, man. Not just... like externally rich. He's already talked about that in this album, and like N95 is the better version of that idea.
Right.
So this is
a lot of it.
Kind
A lot of it
skip.
feels a little repetitive.
That's a kind of a skipper for me. But...
something you got to listen to for sure.
But next song is.
What's the next song?
The next song is "The Arguing." Your favorite.
Oh, dude,
yes.
This is like the best song on the album, bro. The best line is when Whitney Alford says, "This is what
together.
The world sounds like." She goes, "This is what the world sounds like," and then it
that's
drops,
cool.
dude.
That part's cool.
That like. Stop tap dancing around the conversation. There's tap dancing throughout the whole album that in the background.
Yeah, true. I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah, you can hear that throughout the whole album, and then they just go off on, and it's not even a song; it's more of like a movie.
No, literally.
Like you have to.
Let me explain what's happening.
I'll link the short film in the description. But
literally, what is happening in this song is Kendrick and this woman who's in the story is his like significant other, literally just viscerally
it's two characters that are made up, right?
Hating each other. Yeah, it's like it's literally like domestic abuse over a piano bout, like some piano in the background. Like literally, that's all it is.
Right, there's
they're
a
not even
piano
rapping.
playing and they're arguing and they're fighting. They're saying the most hurtful things that they can say to each other. They're just trying to destroy
each other. It almost is like, for me, it's like the you.
It is the you of this album. This is what I'm saying. Is this album reflects on somehow like To Pimp a Butterfly, and like this is the you of that album.
Yeah, because you is like personal hatred, and this is like I hate you. I hate another person.
I think Mother and I Sober or whatever is the moral man of the album, but we can get into that.
Okay.
But this song, oh dude.
So I will say,
and then it ends with the same way all couples make up, with reconciliation sex, bro. It all ends like that, and.
So I will say this. It's a hard song.
It makes so much sense, dude.
For people who aren't really music people, it's a hard song to swallow. This song got made fun of a lot. People clowned on the song. But I feel like...
It's my favorite. This is the best song on the album.
I feel like if you're not
able... This is the truest song on the album.
That's exactly. If you're not able to, like, understand the emotions that are being put on the track, obviously it doesn't sound like your conventional rap song that you want to throw on the car, but... It's not meant to be that.
It's meant to attack like the self. It's meant to like
the raw emotions that he's putting on the track.
It's confessional stuff.
Are just powerful. Like very few songs have that level of visceral emotion.
Like this dude probably says more powerful things in one verse in this song than in like the whole Bible.
I would not go that far.
I haven't read the Bible, so I guess that doesn't count.
What are some of the good lines off of that? There's a good one where she is talking about how men like him, toxic men, are the reason why women struggle in society, and that line is really good. And she's spitting. This is like one of the only lines where she's really rhyming, and it sounds more like a rap. And then he just counters with because she ends the line talking about how. People like you are why people like R. Kelly exist, and then Ken's just like, hold on, stop right there. You still listening to R. Kelly? So don't even give me that.
You're the reason R. Kelly can't recognize that he's abusive.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, bitch. We all know you still playing his music.
Exactly.
That line.
So that call out is pretty good.
There's not a single song on the planet that's like this.
No.
I know that. I know we just said you, but use different territory on the same theme. But this is a whole new territory.
The only way you might hear sounds like that song is if you are in a relationship that you need to get out of, bro.
Right, and the comments on YouTube on this song, all those comments are like, if you are in this relationship, you need to leave right now. This is the worst type of relationship. And it's funny because at the beginning of the song, Whitney Alford said, this is what the world sounds like.
And it's certainly true. I mean, I've never been in a relationship like that, thank God, but a lot of people have.
Absolutely true.
And, I mean... I've been hearing my parents singing this song before it came out.
Right. So
it's a powerful song, although for the layman, it's going to be a little hard to take seriously.
Take it seriously.
If you can't take it seriously.
Take it seriously or avoid the whole album.
That's what I was going to say. If you can't take it seriously, then you're probably going to need to start off a little softer. If you can't take that song seriously, this album isn't meant for you. Maybe start with something a little more easy to grasp.
You know who you are.
Your way up.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, like Oscar. Oscar laughed at you. He thought it was funny.
Oscar laughed at you.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
Oscar.
Sounds goofy.
Don't listen to this.
Yeah, no. You gotta build your way up. You gotta build up your comfort zone for the more raw and more emotional and more.
No, this is the best song on the album for me.
One thing I will say, probably the best segue on the album, is the end of this song into Purple Hearts, which just is an almost complete opposite. This super lush, beautiful sounding synths, this like cool like 80s like synth, almost like a synth pop vibe. Really like complete opposite.
I like Purple Hearts. I think it's one of the top 5 on the album. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
once again. Not too big on the auto-tune. I'm going to just stop saying that because I'm going to say it for any time that it's featured.
I'll say it for you.
Yeah, okay. Anytime there's auto-tune on this track.
Hey, he's not a big fan of the auto-tune.
I've never liked auto-tune, the sound of it. If I can tell that it's auto-tune...
Wait till you hear Animal Collective. They do auto-tune.
That's pretty dope. Electronic is different. It's like saying Daft Punk is auto-tune.
No, Animal Collective does it differently than even Daft Punk.
One line I will say... that is a little goofy though. is when she says, "It ain't love if you ain't never eat my." Why is that there? I don't get.
I do remember hearing that.
There. Like
it's kind of.
It's so.
I don't actually remember spending too much time thinking about it, but I was like, okay, this makes sense in the context of the song, and kept going. But
it's like the song is about like letting love lead the way, and he's almost making the metaphor that he's like a dope dealer,
well, some
but
back
the dope
and forth
is
going on?
love, and like he's getting the love from God, and he's dealing it like you would like from a drug, like from a
I don't know,
your supplier.
I don't know. I guess that's
so that's a very interesting way. It seems like a more of like a wholesome type of love, like a humanitarian type of love.
Well, I know a few people that might argue.
My booty hole line is kind of
no.
like
I can see because it's like, are we
you
ready to go
humanity's booty hole?
No. I can see it as like a. If we're getting freaky, that's how you know it's love. You don't get freaky with just anyone.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
I could see it as maybe being somewhere along the lines of that.
Oh yeah, but speaking of the auto-tune, the reason I specifically took note of it in this song is the refrain. Yeah, baby. Yeah, baby. I do not like that.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. This whole Kendrick, this new ever since Damn, like his cadence, I'm not a big fan of it. I like his To Pimp a Butterfly. It's all pretty consistent. Yeah, it just speaks true.
So that's the end of Mr. Morale, or Big Steppers, and now we are on Mr. Morale.
So that'd be where you flip the record.
So
unless it's probably
actually
double
it's just
LP.
double, it's double, so that's a whole new record.
So this will be the whole new.
So we start with Count Me Out, which I freaking love this song.
I like the song. It's a good song. Most of this album's good songs, yeah.
I like the instrumental with the guitar. Him rapping over the bass and the choir too. When you have that choir building up, super cool. And towards the end, where he's, like the misregret. He's talking about like his regrets. What does it say? Let's just find it. Count me out. Dead air. Okay. Let's see. Misregrets. Some things I can't forget. Lord knows I've tried my best. You say it's not my best. You know when he does that, and he kind of has the same cadence, and you have like this kind of choir in the background saying things too, and you have the guitar. That part's beautiful. I love that part of the song. Ever since he starts with the misregrets, that and to the end,
that
really
part
pretty,
was pretty dope.
Really pretty. So it's just a really pretty song, and the best, I'd say, of the more hype songs, because that is still a song I think you could play in like a kind of a party setting.
Absolutely.
And it is my favorite of those songs of this album by far. Also, lyrically, I remember it being pretty interesting and cool. Essentially, I think what it was, from what I remember, was him trying to justify this relationship he has with someone, but in the end, he's calling her Miss Regret as in the person who he has these regrets for, and then he's finally realizing that, these regrets that I have towards you and the regrets you tried to make me feel are not that bad. Lord knows I tried my best, and you tried to say it wasn't my best. That type of thing.
It's
like
simple
him finally
stuff,
realizing that she's not good for him and that he is better than she made him out to be.
He's like more poetic with simple concepts than most people are. And this is another example of that.
It's a great song. Love that song. Now, Crown. Sonically, Crown is a little boring to me.
Yeah, even the lyrics to me.
No, the lyrics.
Well, it's the same thing like I said earlier. He's trying to be this character that.
I don't get that character thing really. I'm not gonna lie. Because I've been waiting for what is this? His fifth album, fourth?
Fifth album.
Fifth if you include Untitled.
No, it's just his fifth. He's got a mixtape.
Whatever. Regardless, I've been waiting.
He's got his mixtape, Good Kid, the one with ADHD, Pimp a Butterfly, Damn, here. Untitled, and then his mixtape are the other
Overly
two.
Dedicated?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I've been waiting a long time for him to finally come to this realization. I'm sure every Kendrick Lamar fan has this whole idea that he has to be the savior. And you could see that it weighs on him a lot. You could see that it put a lot of mental anguish on him. And it's finally this song where he grows past that and realizes, I don't have to be this. I can work for myself. I can help myself. I don't need to sacrifice myself at the altar for everyone else. I gotta work on myself and the people that I love around me. And I've been waiting for him to finally come to this realization. We all have. We were all hoping to see it. And it finally happened in this song. So even though sonically, it's just literally, 2 notes of a piano on loop. Lyrically, it's more than made up with by just the context that this song has and the greater scheme of his whole discography, not just this one album. I also do like the "Can't Please Everybody" refrain.
I can't please everybody.
No, I like when it's high pitched too.
I can't please everybody.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And when he says like stuff like I can't, and this even kind of made me realize like if you can't even please yourself, and he's talking about like trying to please himself with bought a new house, bought a new car. If you can't even please yourself, how are you expected to try to please everyone else? You can't even help yourself.
The best way to help a lot of people is to help yourself.
Yeah. So that actually even like was kind of eye opening for me because it is kind of true. Like you really do have to work on yourself before you can really do much for anybody else.
Agreed.
Right. And now on the flip side, Silent Hill is another one of those more, in my opinion, uninteresting contemporary songs.
I like it though. I mean, all these contemporary bangers on this song are better than whatever contemporary stuff's coming out. So whatever.
That is true. That is true.
It's all better than Drake or.
Yeah, I like it, but the only reason it got a 0 for me is God, dude, the Kodak verse is so annoying.
Right. Kodak ruins
so annoying.
Actually, I like this song. I like Kodak on this song. I don't think he's mumbling as much.
The ring pop. Big old ruby time on my pinky finger, that bit ring pop.
Okay, yeah, I do remember that. That was pretty bad.
What is it? Hit her with the stick or something like that. Just so like dumb, just dumb.
Yeah.
Like, why?
No, it's definitely. I don't know. It's definitely pretty mundane. You know,
it's like a pretty quintessential Mr. Morales song because you got like the contemporary sound, you got a little bit of orchestra, and then you got a feature.
Yeah,
there you go. It's kind of like almost like the Mr. Morales formula.
Contemporary sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's better than other contemporary stuff, but
I would agree.
Well, maybe not. I haven't heard everything, but
from what I'm hearing on the hot rap stations. I still like Silent Hill better. All right, so now we have the interlude, which is called Savior Interlude? Yes. I actually really like this song. It took me a while to like this song, but Keem's like message on it is really
Really I do remember listening to it last night and being like, all right. I do. Like, I developed a little bit of respect for Baby Keem.
Me too. And my biggest problem with Keem is just his really young voice. Like, dude sounds like SpongeBob SquarePants all the time, especially on like his album. Yeah, especially on like his own album, he sounds like SpongeBob.
Yeah.
So I think once he's like 30, he'll have a good rapping voice, or maybe 25. He's like, I think he's only 20 or 21 now. So
he's a youngster. He's that much of a youngster.
Yeah, he's a youngster.
I could probably beat him up.
Yeah,
I
think so too. But lyrically, this song is really good. I think it's his best track lyrically. Like what he's talking about, like just these dark images of his childhood. You ever seen your mama strung out while you study division? Like that's like some dark imagery right there.
I wonder if that part was written for him though.
You don't think he has it in him yet?
I don't know.
The best part
I know a bunch of different writers worked on this album. It wasn't all just Kendrick. It wasn't all just Baby Keem. So I don't know.
The best line that Keem has in this is when he talks about his uncle. This part really, when I heard, like when I actually processed this really blew me away. It's so cool to hear. Let's see. My uncle would tell me this in the movies could only be magic. Like this happy-go-lucky outcome could only ever happen in the movies. Like it's like being hopeless. And then he follows that up with, this year I did 43 shows and took it all home to buy him a casket. So for his uncle, he's right. Like his life really was like nothing came of it. But for Keem, it's wrong because he did 43 shows, and he actually did have that movie outcome for his life. but he couldn't show it to his uncle because he
a show a week for a year.
Yeah, dude, he couldn't show it to his uncle.
Most artists don't tour a year round, so.
So I really liked that. I really liked that line. I thought that was really cool. It's like some people really do just get it. Some people really do just.
I want to be honest, and you're gonna be a little upset with me, but a lot of these songs I do not remember. I mean, they're just. This
is why I listen to albums like 5 times before we do this.
Right, but there's so much on this album. There's so much. It's a big album, and it all sounds like this is a great. This is a fine song.
That song's pretty distinct because there's
no Kendrick. To Pimp a Butterfly is a long album, but every single song on that album. Yeah, but you've
had 5 years to digest the album.
True. I mean, I've almost had a year with this one. And
that's true.
I know. I'm just saying right now, To Pimp a Butterfly is a better album.
Savior. Okay, now you're speaking of songs that. Now, after you say that, now I can't remember what this song sounds like. Savior. Oh, okay. I remember this line. Okay, so essentially he's talking about how like messed up society is. This is when he's attacking like cancel culture and all that.
Right, big time.
Yeah, and he's talking about this line I like a lot. Capitalist posing as compassionate to be offended me.
Yeah.
Because there's so many like fake like corporations like with the BLM. I'm sure this song was written around 2020 when that was all going down. So you had like these mega companies writing about supporting BLM and yada yada when they could not care less. And that's almost more offensive to a black dude from what he's saying. That like fake care is more offensive than just not saying anything at all.
Right, and I've been saying that for years. It's like this facade of like, all right, we care about it is like it's almost just okay, this is what's going to get us sales. It's not what's going to get us. It's not what's going to move the world forward. It's going to get us sales. And that's it's so cringe when I see like ads do that and capitalism do that. You couldn't be more
fake.
Offensive or fake than that.
I will say one thing I do like about
But
Savior,
also I don't know.
What a good commentary. I guess I don't actually know what I'm talking about.
Well, what I mean is like
turn off the video.
It's like I don't have room to speak from minority cultures, so I really don't know. But to me, like it sounds appalling.
More offensive, yeah.
It sounds like it couldn't be more offensive.
I will say with Savior, one thing I do like about the song is how it has like these like really warped, disembodied vocals where like right. Like going like all over the track, and then it eventually starts. Once he starts rapping over that, then you get this bass drop, and the song really kicks off. That part I do like. The intro of the song is good. The lyrics are good. I like what he's saying. I think it's cool, but it's a little more alongside the contemporary Kendrick. So. Obviously, I can't remember it too well, which kind of goes to show that it isn't too sonically interesting, other than that part.
Well, the whole album's worth listening to through and through, but
all albums are.
But it's not.
All albums are.
I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying, if you're gonna listen to music, do the whole album. Don't just skip the songs.
Absolutely,
you
absolutely. Yeah, you pretty much summed it up. For me,
Auntie Diaries. I just want to hear what your thoughts are on this song.
I was just about to say I don't want to talk about this one.
Say it.
So,
because I know you know my thoughts on this song.
Yeah, it makes sense. He's talking about two trans people that he knows, right? The first half is about his aunt, and the second half is about his cousin.
I think that's right. Yeah.
And. I just remember the final... The
final line is awesome.
The final verse where he talks about... I don't know, he's just like confessing about... I don't know, he knows he's not always right. But he'll say whatever he can for now. Well, he said whatever he can up until now. And then this album is more of a confessional thing. So I don't know, this album... To me, it speaks to me as like it doesn't matter. Like none of it matters. Like... We're all trans or not. Like you're a person, I'm a person.
Okay.
There's nothing there that should be dividing.
Yeah,
between
he's almost kind of
like
saying
even
that, like,
the most like minute
like,
conversations,
he's like,
transient conversations, like
he's trying to even understand why people don't like his uncle now. Like, why do they not like my uncle? Like, what's wrong with?
Right, he's a kid and he doesn't understand.
He doesn't get it because it is kind
and
of.
Then he says, "Now I'm older and I'm
ridiculous.
mature," and I mean, if you look at it from that perspective, as when you are the kid and you don't understand, and then it just evolves out of nowhere that people start dissecting into like these different groups, and I don't know. To me, it just speaks to me as. But also, I'm not a huge fan of the song overall. But to me, I do think that it speaks to me in terms of like, okay, like we make mistakes. It's not like we can't get over it, but like it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if we're.
What's the mistake?
What did he say? What did he say in the song? I think the last verse. Okay,
I'll go over that.
I think the last verse, to me, it sounds like he's confessing that he made a mistake bringing that girl onto stage that everybody was talking about.
Okay, here's what I'll say. So I'm first going to come out in defense of the track because he actually got a lot of hot water for this song from both sides. The conservatives disliked it because it's pushing trans culture on people. It's woke. It's cringe. They didn't like it from that perspective. But then you had a lot of like the more social justice warrior type liberals who disliked the track because of like the slurs that he was using.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
But I think that is literally the point of the song. The whole point is that he's growing up not getting it. He doesn't get it. He thinks these words are fine to say. He doesn't understand why his.
I almost feel like he still doesn't get it. He's like, why?
Well, is
this happening?
No, I think he.
Well, like he gets it. He gets it, but the point is like,
it.
why are we all getting it? Why are we all like understanding that this is a thing?
Unpack that.
I mean, that's why he says. That's why he says those words in the. I don't know if it's the chorus that he says it, but he definitely says some words that aren't culturally appreciated, and if he did say that, if he didn't say those words, then he would be like, all right, I get it. I get it. We shouldn't, do these things or say these things or whatever.
Maybe.
But then he's saying, I still don't understand why we do that. Like, and so he says.
Maybe while I talk about it, you pull up the lyrics so you can find out what you're trying to.
No, I know what I'm saying.
Okay.
I'm just. How do I?
Well, I'll talk about it so that I give you time to think about, process what you're trying to say.
I mean, I think, yeah, but go ahead.
So, the whole point of the song is his evolution through his childhood to adulthood, growing from not getting it to getting it. Because you can see he first he dead names, right? He calls he says my auntie is a man now. That could be offensive to the trans community because it's not. They changed into a man, but they always felt like they were a man and they reaffirmed their gender or whatever. But he's not going to say that because he doesn't understand that. That's literally the whole point, is that he's a kid. He doesn't get that. He just,
right, speaking
from a kid's perspective,
of a kid.
It's like, oh, my auntie is a man now. That's interesting. I think I'm old enough to understand now. That's literally the line. Like, he's trying to grasp it.
Yeah.
And he's throwing slurs. He's saying he doesn't know any better. He's also confused with why other people really care. For him, it's kind of normal. But as he grows, he learns more about it. Like, he can see in his cousin, like, the patterns that kind of show that, okay, he really was always like this. He was playing with Barbie dolls. He was, or I guess, yeah, it would be she now, but, that was always within his cousin. And he's growing to see that, which he didn't see with his auntie, who just became a man now. So I really think that is a really good song for that community. I think it's really good if you look past the fact that he doesn't get it at first and he's saying all these offensive things. And when he says, like, with his cousin, he changed his gender before Bruce Jenner was certain. Yeah, Bruce Jenner is the dead names. That is offensive to say. But once again, that is from the perspective of Kendrick when his cousin was transitioning. Before Caitlyn Jenner had done that. So, of course, he's going to say Bruce because Caitlyn, during that era, didn't exist.
Right.
So that's the whole point with that.
Well, my thing is...
And I will say the last line that you're talking about, I like that because it's him realizing, oh, shoot, I am kind of a dumb hypocrite. Because he's saying the F slur and yada yada, which even by the end of the song, he stops saying it. He starts literally saying F slur or F bomb, right? So he's learning with the track. And his cousin is calling him out saying, yeah, go ahead. You can say that, but you kicked a girl off stage for saying the N-word.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say that and think it's okay, then you have to let white people say the N-word. Because his cousin is trying to make him realize, oh, shoot, it's either all okay or it's not okay. So Kendrick was being a hypocrite. And the fact that he actually brought that up.
Thing.
Yeah, he brought that up.
A hypocrite.
Usually people would try to hide that because that was really embarrassing on Kendrick's part. Like, he got a lot of heat for that. But no, he brought that up because it was like a moment of reflection and hypocrisy for him. I also like the part, religiously speaking, where he's trying to get his pastor to understand, like,
yeah, that was interesting. His pastor was all against it.
Trans,
and he's like trying to understand, and his pastor like doesn't have anything that helps him understand. It's just
but he's like, aren't we all trying to show, like, aren't we supposed to love thy neighbor?
Yeah,
you know. And by the end of it, the pastor does, Mr. Preacher Man does grow to accept the trans cousin because she's been a better example of God and godly love than the pastor himself is being. That story's probably not true based on how pastors tend to be pretty stuck in their own ways.
No, I think everything can. Well, I guess.
But it is a good allegory. It is a good story. It's a great song. You should not have been canceled over that song from either side. I think it is a pretty powerful song. And once again, just like with Therapy, and all like the sensitive topics that Kendrick touches, when most people do it, it's kind of cringe, but when Kendrick does it, people take it more seriously. So I'm appreciative that he took the time to do that. Well, next is Mr. Morale, but you can keep going if you're not finished with it.
I guess, like, the first thing you said was like, okay, he was young, he didn't get it. He's older, now he gets it.
Yes.
Like, what is it? What are we talking about? He gets
trans
like
people.
Okay, because I'm talking about it as being like the division. Like the division between people's nature. And I feel like throughout this album he still does, or throughout this song he still doesn't get it, meaning the division. And so he's saying all these things. That throughout the song that are probably, I mean, he received a lot of criticism for it, and I think that the reason he's saying it is, well, also that he's talking from a perspective of a kid, but I think he's talking from that perspective of a kid because he still is saying, I don't get this division. I think that's the whole reason he embraced this perspective as a kid. It's like, I don't, but I understand that he gets it, meaning, you know, the nature of trans
people,
transitioning and whatever, but the pastor not getting it, like, he's like, I don't understand what, like, my pastor has it, but I don't get it. If that makes any sense.
Yeah. Okay.
He's like, I don't get what your whole thing is.
Like, what your problem
and the pastor,
is,
and the pastor has something going on, and throughout the song, he's like, I still don't get it.
Okay, I get that.
But I mean, if I had another few hours to think about it, I could probably word it better. But
all right, so I'm thinking, I know we're going to talk about Mother I Sober for a while, so I think Mr. Morale and Mother I Sober kind of tie thematically. So should we just talk about the end track and then go to Mother I Sober and Mr. Morale? Because Mr. Morale,
I don't think I have anything about the album to say other than Mother I Sober.
Okay, so I guess I'll just get my
thing. It all
thing
fits
out of
the
way
same
quickly.
theme.
So with Mr. Morale, it thematically ties in exactly to Mother I Sober. It's talking about like black trauma and what makes people do the things that they do. I like the dark synth, whoa, 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 throughout the song. That sounds cool. I think all that's cool. It's once again one of the more contemporary tracks, but it is good to put right before Mother I Sober because thematically it's talking about trauma and what that could lead people to do, which Mother I Sober is doing the exact same thing. Now for the last track, which is Mirror, I think this is kind of a closer track in the same way that Good Kid, Mad City had Compton. Like, you had the story of Good Kid, Mad City and then Compton, which I've heard people kind of put as like almost like the end credits It's like it's unrelated to the story because the story already had its conclusion, and then Compton's like this like happy end credits. This credits are scrolling. This upbeat song is playing, and I feel like Mirror is kind of that idea too, because Mother I Sober is clearly like, I feel like that's the end note of the Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers thematic like story.
I agree.
So then Mirror is almost more like kind of like this credits roll. Like it's kind of like Crown in the same sense that it's talking about like putting yourself above this expectation to be a savior for all of humanity. It's talking about how he chooses me, and he's got like this upbeat like
it's not final thoughts like Mortal Man. It's not final thoughts, it's final statement.
On Mirror?
Yeah, Mirror is more like final statement. Mortal Man is like final thoughts.
Yeah, and I feel like Mother I Sober is also more final thoughts.
Yeah, it is. That's why it's the ender really to the album.
Yeah,
than the credits.
I agree. So yeah, we both agree Mirror is kind of like this fun, upbeat, like end credits song to jam out to after you get like blown away by Mother I Sober is very serious.
I agree. I think that's the second best song on the album.
I think it is the best song on the album.
It's definitely second best, but
any song,
it's definitely
any song that
it's definitely one or two.
Any song that makes me literally cry, like tear up and cry, is almost always automatically a +3 because for it to be that powerful emotionally, very very few songs can do that.
I saw some Twitter post that said if you don't cry to this song, you're actually weird. Which I don't necessarily agree with, but I mean, if you let it impact you, it will.
Dude, it is gorgeous. So this is a really slow piano ballad with freaking, you got Portishead's lead singer on it who has a gorgeous voice. Her voice is so heavenly in this song. And quite frankly, this song is the most, I was kind of blown away that Kendrick was talking about this. So few people talk about this, especially men. He's literally
and he says
a rapper.
Yeah, he's talking about rappers.
He's a black rapper talking about being sexually assaulted as a youth by his uncle, or what is it, uncle or cousin? Like, who is like open enough to talk about like the deepest trauma of their whole life?
How about the line about his mother in Chicago?
Yeah, and he's talking about like his mother getting.
He talked about how it rubbed off, how like the disgust of like that violation against her rubbed off as him.
Did you think it was? Do you think she was being abused or like raped?
Raped.
I agree. Yeah.
I think you know how like heroin or alcoholics, they'll like when they're pregnant and they still use like their children can develop an addiction, like preliminary addiction before they're born. Yeah. Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
Like it kind of reminds me of that. Like if his mom was violated, like he feels that on himself, and he's like disgusted by it. And that was crazy. And then the fact that they said that like,
and it takes a while of build up too for him to actually admit it, because like his parents are trying, or not his parents, his mom and like other family members are trying to like ask him like, did he touch you? Like, did this happen? And he doesn't even know. He doesn't even realize that it happened. A lot of the time when you get abused as a kid, like you literally blank that part out of your memory. Like a lot of people who are abused as children literally cannot remember that happening. They'll just kind of blank out that their childhood as like a surviving coping mechanism to not have to deal with those highly negative things happening to them. And that's a real thing. Like people will literally, people's brains will literally just erase those memories. So he's almost coming to realize himself that yes, he really truly was violated as a kid, and that he sees that how that affected him, and he sees those patterns in other rappers. So he's starting to realize that this is kind of a more common thing in the like impoverished community or black community. I don't know which one he's referring to. It seems like he's talking about like the hood type of lifestyle. So probably like inner city impoverished black communities. He talks about people trying to mask like that pain with chains and gangs and tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah. It's insane how he's opening up about that.
No, yeah, like I said, it's super confessional album, and I also said he said making music was therapeutic for himself. I think this song is a good example of that. Yeah. Like
I wouldn't have been surprised if he just like
he made this song for himself. Like he didn't make this for anybody else.
No, yeah. I agree.
So
with him crying on You because of how dark it was, I'm surprised he didn't cry on a song like this. It seems like his voice kind of quivers in some parts. It's very like soft.
He talks about it in one of the verses leading up. He says, "I'm surprised," or he says, "Like I'm shaking while I'm singing this or something."
Like,
yeah,
it's so sad that he had to experience that, and it's insane how it took him so long to actually come to grips with that and see that pattern exists in so many other people as well. And he's also very confessional in this song about his addiction with lust, which probably came from the fact he was sexually assaulted.
Yeah.
A lot of people who become sexual predators in their adult lives were abused in that regard in their past, and that's why their brain is all messed up. Like, they don't look at sex the healthy, normal way that a normal person does, because it was that, like, their perspective of it was violated as,
that's where the foot fetish come from.
Sure. So, yeah, he talks about his addictions with lust, which probably came from that happening. And,
so, yeah, I think it's the second best song on the album for sure.
It's really cool. The whole name Mother I Sober, I don't really know why it's
well he goes throughout the song
but
saying,
he's talking
like,
about how he doesn't do
talking
drugs.
about he's talking about, like, I'm sober but I'm addicted to something else.
Exactly, that's what I was gonna get at. Exactly, he's talking about how he's dealing with all of these emotions sober, but he still has that addiction of lust that is. And it talks about, like, his
wife, like, in the kitchen when she's like, "Is this an addiction?" And he's like, "No," but then he says, like, "I lied though."
Yeah, because he doesn't want to come.
His wife caught him, like, being an infidel and.
An infidel.
Infidelity. He's his wife caught him cheating, sleeping with another woman or whatever. However you want to word it. Yeah. So he and then I mean, that's, I already said it. So.
All right. Scores.
Super powerful song.
Boom. 133. Good song or good album.
What do I got? I think mine was higher than yours.
Are you serious?
135.
Wow, okay,
135. So right about.
I don't have any negative ones. You have one.
I have a negative
3
one.
though. I don't have any 3s. Oh,
I have 2 3s.
Oh wow.
We Cry Together and Mother I Sober.
Oh, I do have a 3 with Mother I Sober.
So.
Okay. Auntie Diaries 0. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
I know you don't like political songs.
It's too political for me. I can't say too much about it. It doesn't connect with me in a sense that, like.
United in Grief is a 1, but M95 is a 2? That's kind of interesting. I love United in Grief.
I'd rather things be timeless, something that applies to humanity forever.
Yeah, but trans people have always existed.
But it's never been a thing until.
Like, what do you mean?
Like, it's never been something that's talked about.
A hot button issue. Yeah, that's true.
So something that's, the humanity hot button issue. Everybody has, like, an evil part of them, and that's the part that speaks to me. Like, I think We Cry Together has existed for thousands of years.
Yeah, I agree.
I think Mother I Sober has existed for thousands of years.
That's fair.
So
that's fair.
That's the kind of stuff that speaks to me personally, emotionally. Stuff that will live on forever. Like the dark side of humanity.
Wait. You have the names of the wrong. You have the in Rainbow's names there. Is that?
Yeah, I'll fix that before I.
But the score is accurate. That's not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it must have been because I don't know. It was weird. Things were copying over. I must have just not edited it. But I'll put the. It's only up to what here, the 10th track videotape.
Yeah.
So I gotta edit that, but I'll edit that before I put it in the video.
Cool. But yeah, I guess I never thought we'd have a similar score on album. We both like it. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we both.
What do you got?
Like,
so what do you got when we go through? You got a 2. I got a 1. You got a 1. I got a 2.
That's a shocker to me.
You got a 0. I got a 2. That's one of my favorite songs on the album. Worldwide Steppers. Die Hard. You got a 1. I got a 1.
2 and 2. Okay, 0 and
for Father Time. Yeah, 2. Yeah. -1 for.
Rich
Interlude, yeah, and then 0 again. We both got 0s, and then that's We Cry Together as a 3. Purple Hearts, I put that as a 1.
Okay, Count Me Out as a 2.
Yeah,
Crown is a 2.
Okay,
why is Crown a 2?
I can't remember
the piano song.
I can't remember. This album's too long for me to remember exactly the way songs go, but
our video is longer than the album now.
Listen to the album. Don't watch the video. Just listen to the album. Seriously, listen to this album though. This is a good album. And actually listen to it. Well, or don't. Do whatever you want. But if you're gonna listen to it, you ain't gonna get nothing unless you sit down and. I don't know. That's one thing I hate about Kendrick, though. You got to sit down and listen. And
oh yeah.
Like you got to think.
I love doing that. That's how I engage with music. That's why I can't do your like sloppily putting together like art punk because I'm trying to like engage with it and like think about it deeply, and it's just some guy going bing, 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 bing. I love that. I'm like, what am I supposed to grab onto here? So
you grab on for a sec, and then you let it throw you across the room.
All right, so this video is way too long. This album is
also way too long.
Yeah, I would say. Do I recommend it?
I would recommend it to anybody.
I would say
anybody.
Don't start with this album.
Start with
if you're gonna
what? To Pimp a Butterfly.
Well, okay, depends on where you're at musically. If you're like a music guy or girl or whatever, you're a music person, you like interesting, complex music, skip, go to Pimp a Butterfly first. But
I hate complex music. I like this album,
Butterfly is extremely complex.
Yeah, but I break it down to where it's simple, and that's why I like it so much.
Whatever. But if you're a little more into contemporary, maybe this is a good starting album for you. I don't think you're gonna like We Cry Together. I think that's a good gauge. If you can respect We Cry Together, then you will like this album. But if you don't like that song,
I agree. Then
you're probably not going to get out of this album what Kendrick is intending you to get. You're probably just going to bop out to the banger songs, Rich Spirit, N95, Silent Hill,
yeah.
And that's not what the album's about.
I'm just kidding.
So, yeah, we have similar opinions. That kind of blows me away.
That'll be the first and last.
Yeah, seriously. All right, so don't watch this video. Listen to the album. This video needs to be cut down. This is absurd.